ignore it. It's just like, I can't think about that. That's too painful. You know, both of those reactions are driven by guilt, I think. And I think that it's what is being expected of us, being put upon us by the social constructs of our world, or the media, or whatever, or groups that are trying to raise money or whatever. They know the buttons to push with people. I mean, the human psyche is well mapped, and they know exactly what it is that makes people do things. But those kind of things, if we react to them, we're like an automatron or whatever, I don't know what the right word is, robot. Someone pushes our button and we automatically do something, instead of looking at it and saying, well, wait a minute now. I have this firm belief that the world is made up of so many different things and people and situations. The reason for that is that so everything can be taken care of all at once. So the analogy that I use is one of the human body itself. You okay, Roy? Okay. The idea that each part of our body is taking care of the part that they're part of. Our liver cells take care of our livers, and our kidneys take care of our kidneys, and down the line. And we don't expect our liver cells to leave the liver and go help kidneys, because there's already cells helping the kidney. So if we look at the human race as a whole, then we can see that there are people that are helping in these situations. That there are people that are so compelled that they will leave and go do things like that. It doesn't mean that everybody has to. What if we all got on an airplane, all 7 billion of us, and went to one place that was having a flood to help? I mean, it would be disastrous. How would you feed 7 billion people? I mean, it would be a mess, right? But there are people that go and do that. That's what they're supposed to do. That doesn't mean we're all supposed to do those things. We need to figure out what it is that we do. What are we good at? Why are we where we are? Why are we living where we are? Why are we with the people we're with? We need to look around us in a smaller circle and say, how can I help where I am? And I think if everybody did that to some degree, that things would work out much better. You wouldn't have a whole lot of people shouting at each other going, well, why aren't you doing this? Or why aren't you, well, what about this? And what about that? And we need to fix this, and we need to put people in place to take care of this. And everybody's telling everybody what they ought to do, instead of looking in themselves and saying, well, what should I be doing for where I am? And that's what living in the present moment, being in the now, all of those wonderful buzzwords we have nowadays in our culture. That's what all these things are trying to talk about, is the way that we're going to find a peaceful way of living in our particular situation that we were born into, is to look at that situation and try and figure out, well, what is it that I can do where I am to make everything around me as best as possible. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't, obviously people have to go do stuff, or else, But you have to look at the motivations of why you're going to do it. Are you doing it because you feel at a heart level completely compelled to do that? Or are you doing it because you're feeling that you need to fix something? You get satisfaction out of fixing things. A lot of people do good things for the wrong reasons. And not wrong reasons, but maybe not the best of intentions of reasons. They do it not only to help, but also to make themselves feel better about themselves. And then you have to question, well, which one's more important? I've had a couple of experiences in my life. Well, I've had quite a few experiences in my life, and maybe you guys have too, about when something's come along and it's come out of the blue and you've just said, oh, I want to do that, or I'm going to do that, with no thought, know nothing, and it isn't like, it doesn't create a story of, oh, if I do that, then this, and da. It's literally like a switch is thrown. It's like, that's what I need to do. And then you go do it. And you don't have expectations. You haven't thought through the scenarios or the outcomes. It's just that you know at a heart level, this is what you should be doing at this time in your life. Those are the things to follow, because those, I believe, are the things that are the most true to our nature, and it's our environment talking to us as well. It's where we're at. Again, I think that if we took better care of where we are and who we are and what we're doing in this moment, then each moment comes along. And if we continue to do that, then we're doing the best we can. We're doing, I think, what we're supposed to be doing. Again, don't take that to one side and say, well, then I should do nothing. No, I don't believe you can do nothing, actually. I've said this before. I've said, try doing nothing. Sit on your front porch for a year and do nothing. I'm not talking about being able to afford it or any of that. Let's just say, enough food, enough everything to be able to do nothing for a year. Try just sitting on your front porch. I don't think you can. I think people will find you. I think that situations will find you. I think things will arise in you. And the next thing you would know, you would sit down and make a commitment. I'm going to sit here for a year. And within a couple of weeks, you'd find yourself doing something, going, what happened? I'm doing something. Because there is this creative energy that motivates us to do things that isn't self-generated, I don't think. I can't tell you what it is, where it comes from. I don't want to put a name on it, because that starts a whole other debate about what it is or isn't. But all I know is that it exists, and it is what drives us to do things. And when we listen to that inner voice telling us what and where we should do and what we should go after, a certain sense of peace and contentment comes along with that, because you're doing what you know you should be doing. And many people will sit there and say, well, I don't know what I should be doing. I don't hear a voice. I've been sitting around for years, and I'm just fumbling along because I have no purpose. I don't know what to do. And the funny part is I believe all you have to do is look around you and just do what's there. And that will take you, it's like once you start the ball rolling, it starts to roll. It can be the smallest of things. And those things will generate into larger and larger things. You find someone who needs something, so you do something nice for them. And then that person introduces you to someone else, or they're part of an organization, it opens up. And if we sit there and say, well, I don't know what to do, therefore I'm going to do nothing, which is really the reaction of a lot of people when they're not being hit on the head with a hammer to be told what to do, they self-destruct. They shut down and say, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do nothing. And then that turns into depression, turns into anxiety, because they're forcing themselves. It's a self-destructive tendency. It's a denial of what it is that they need to be doing, because they don't think those things are important enough. They're not special enough. If my neighbor needs help with their yard work because they're old and infirmed, it's not good enough for me to go do their yard work for them, because I have bigger things to do. I'm more important than that. Well, that's not it. Go help them. Because that's what's there. When you look out, you will see the things to do. And some of them may be so ridiculously simple that you think, well, this can't mean anything. But it does, because it builds a sense of well-being in you. It builds a sense of well-being in those you help. And that turns into something else, and that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It'll just open up. It can be this, it's so ridiculous to think that there's anything so small as to not be important enough to do. Does that make sense? You know, it could be the tiniest little thing. You know, for me, the tiny things are the things that make me feel really good. You know, I think last week I was talking about seeing a guy, homeless guy in the park sleeping, and I walked up and stuck a $5 bill in his shoe and just walked away, knowing that he would find it later. I'll never know. And yet, to do that and not wake him up and go, here's $5, you know, to do it in a way that he will never know who did it, it'll be like magic to him. I walked away with this huge grin on my face. It's like, it felt so good to do something without any acknowledgement. Just knowing that it will make a difference, and probably more of a difference, because there was nobody to thank, nobody to feel grateful for, nobody to feel, because anytime you do something for someone who's down and out, I believe there's a bit of guilt on the backside of that from them. It's kind of like, I needed help, you know, and I feel beholding to the person that helps me. But if you do it in a way that they can't feel those things, then it almost makes it more exciting, more and better for that person, because they think, gosh, there's someone in this world who thought enough of me to give me something and didn't even want me to know who they were. I think that like amplifies it 1,000 times, just a small gesture like that. So